let's focus on the 80 to 90%. Can we take a look at combustion? Now, typically combustion is what? Your hydrocarbon, we have your oxygen. They will give you CO2. But I want you to remember something. Combustion means your oxygen is excess. I know that's a very important point to know. Because your oxygen is excess, that means your hydrocarbon will go all the way to zero. There is no hydrocarbon here. And there will be some leftover oxygen. Can you see that? There's some leftover oxygen with some carbon dioxide gas form. So which means that the before is hydrocarbon and oxygen. After only CO2 and H2O. Do you notice that there's a difference in volume between the two of them? This difference in volume, we have a name. We call it the first contraction. Now, this is one of the keywords that you hear very frequently in exam. We call it the first contraction. Now, after that, they like to do one thing. They like to pass the gas, okay, the CO2 and O2 to one particular solvent, a base. Not necessarily sodium hydroxide. Can be potassium, can also be calcium hydroxide. So, remove CO2, left with oxygen. So that means if they ask you the remaining gas, what is left over, it is your oxygen most of the time. Because you already remove your CO2, you only can left with oxygen gas. That is the gist of the whole experiment. And we're going to convert this experiment into mathematical form whereby we can calculate exactly the formula of hydrocarbon. So how do we do it? Well, the strategy is indicated here for you. Step number one, you will write down the combustion equation, a generic one. Second, you need to focus on the keywords. The keywords here in the questions is always looking for the base first, because the base is responsible to remove CO2. So remember, look for base, remove CO2. That is how you can determine the volume of your carbon dioxide gas. Now, number B, this might look a bit confusing. Later, I'll highlight to you how I derive the formula. But for now, we just accept as it is. Volume of CO2 is the first contraction. Remember what is the first contraction? Is the difference in their volume. That is the first contraction. Minus volume of hydrocarbon plus volume of CO2. After which, step 3 and 4 is mole ratio technique to find out the value of X and Y. So this is the 4-step process. We're going to use the 4-step process and implement to the questions. Can we take a look at the next page together? I'm going to show you how I do the first example and you subsequently replicate it.